Hello friends, myself Dr. Awadhesh from Kamala Nehru Physical and Social Sciences Sultanpur. Students, welcome our channel E-Pathshala or Economic Classes. Students, in this lecture we are discussing about the demands, types and the factor determining the demands. Uh, as in our earlier lecture, we are completed that the what is the demand and what are the essential features of a demand. For being a demand, for identifying a demand, what things are be necessary, and that were discussed on the previous lectures. In this lecture, we are just only focusing on the types of the demand and what the factors to determine the demand. What the factors is affecting the demands, what are the causes of the effect in the demand, by whom the demand is be affected. These things are be discussed in this lecture. So now just welcome, start our lectures. Before starting our lectures, if you are newly be joined this group, you must be have to subscribe these channels and suggest to your other friends and press the bell icon for notifications, by whom you are able to get the live update about this lecture and the new update about the channels, what the new chapter will be added in this lecture. So students, now we start our lectures, and that is the factor of demands. What are the basic factors are playing an important role for the demands? First, we can say the item prices. This component in the most important of the factor affecting the demand. If we are discussing about the items prices, item price means in which prices the commodities are be available. So this is the first essential parts of the affecting the demand. If the prices of the commodities are be raised, if the prices of the commodities are be increased, on that conditions, students, the demands are be decreased. It is a normal situation. It is a normal law that when the prices is increasing, then the demand is decreasing. So in these conditions, the prices of the commodities affect the demand. This is because as a result of the changing in the price of the commodities, its demand also be changed. There is an inverse relation between the price of a commodity and its demand, because when the prices are being increased, then the consumers are not to be available, not to be able to purchase that commodities on the given prices. Increasing prices may decrease the production, decrease the purchasing capacity of the consumer. So hence we can say, due to increasing the prices, the demand will be affected or affected. When the price rises, the demand for the commodities automatically decreases, and when it falls, the demand is increased. It is the adverse concept of adverse order of the price decrease. If the prices are be decreased, then the consumers are be able to purchase more amount of the commodities, to purchase more quantity of the commodities. So hence, due to the decreasing the prices, the purchasing capacity are be increased, and hence it positively affect the demanding quantity of the commodity. So we can say, when the prices of the commodity change, the general demand also be changed. Usually, when the prices of the commodity falls, the demand increase, and when the price increase, the demands decrease. So this concept or this things will be happen for a common commodities, not for a given commodities, and not for the superior commodities, luxurious commodities, or prestigious commodities. So forever, when we are discussing about the general commodities, the price and the demands have a adverse relations with it. So this is the first affecting features of the demand. Now the student, the second one is the distribution of the wealth. As we know, if the peoples have more income, then their purchasing capacity is also be high. On these circumstances, in this situation, they are able to purchase the more commodity. On the other way, on the opposite side, if the distribution of the wealth is imbalanced on the society, a few peoples are be able to purchase the commodities, and more of the people are struggling for fulfilling their daily requirement. So in this condition, in these circumstances, they are not to be availed to purchase the commodities on a high prices. So in notes, we can say the distribution of the wealth in the society also have a special effect on the demands for the goods. If the distribution of the wealth is unequal, that is, money is in the hand of a few people, then the demand for the luxurious commodities will increase from the rich peoples, and quite the opposite situations. That is, in case of the equitable distribution of the wealth, the demand for the essential commodities are and essentials and comfortable items will be increased. If the society are be belonging to a middle class family, then the middle class family are be demanded the essential needs or essential commodities or comfortable commodities, because in a limited income, in an average income, they are not to be afford the luxurious commodities or like prestigious commodities. But if the society is belonging to the upper class, the richest class students, now they are preferring to consume the luxurious commodities. So the distribution of the wealth, it means if the peoples are able to purchase the, able to bear the burden of the luxurious commodities, then the demand for the luxurious commodities increase. If not, then the demand of the luxurious commodities will be decreases, and this is the another affecting features of the distribution of the affecting features of the demand, like the distribution of the wealth. Now the another student is the consumer's interest. Without having the interest, consumer cannot be demand the commodity, because the after the consuming of the commodities, consumers get the satisfaction. If the commodities provided the more satisfaction, then the demand of the commodities is also being increased. Sometimes the consumers are be intense about the consumptions of a specific commodity. This is the nature of the consumer. This is the habits of the consumer. This is the fashion of that society. This is the fashion of that period. So these also we have to play an important role for the demand. So we can say this factor also affect the demand for a commodity. If the consumers is more interested in one commodity than the other, then the demand of that commodities increases. So this component is also responsible for the demand, responsible for affecting the demand. Consumers' interest, habits, fashions, customers also influence the demand for goods. As consumers' interest increases, the demand for the goods also increase. For example, if people start liking coffees more than the demand of the coffee will be increases, and in the other cases, if the people are more liking to consume the tea, then the demand of the tea will be increases. And if the people start liking to the tea in the same manner, then the demand for the tea will be increases and the demand of the coffee will automatically have to decrease. This is the interest of the demand. For example, some specific kind of the brand have to be make the best commodities in the market. On this situation, on these circumstances, the demands of the commodities are higher in the society. The demands of the commodities is higher in the market. In the other cases, if it is not, and it is then in these circumstances the demand are be decreases. So this is the consumer interest, and this is the playing an important role for the demand instrument. Now the another one is the liking to change the price in the future. Every consumptions are be dependent in the price, current price and the future price. If there is an expectation to increase in the prices of the goods in the future, then their demand started increases in the present itself. On the contrary, we can say if there is an expectation of reducing in the prices of the goods in the future, then the demand for those goods started decreases in the present itself. So these are the situations, these are the conditions by whom we can say the demands are effect or affect into the market. If the prices of the commodities are be chance to increase in current scenario or in future, then it is affected the demand. the possibilities for increase the price in future, the current demand is increasing. The possibility to decrease the prices in future, having decreases the prices of the commodities, but their demand is cannot be increased. So this is also be an important factors for the demand, student. Now, students, the another is the consumer's income. According to the income of any person, the demand also increases. If a person's income is high, then it is obvious that he will not face any problems in buying any goods or services. That is, wealthy consumers influence the law of the demand in a positive way. If it is often seen that when the income of the consumers changes, there then is in a direct effect on the demand of the commodity. If the prices of the commodity does not change and the income of the consumers increase, then the demand of the goods is also be increases. And when the income falls, the demand for the goods also be decreased. So by this observation, student, we can say the income of the consumer is playing an important role for the demanding of the commodities. Due to increasing the income of the consumer, the purchasing capacity of the consumer will be increased, and in the high purchasing capacity, the consumers are be demanded more amount of the commodities. If due to any reason, due to any cause, if the income of the consumers are be decreases, then the consumer are not to be able to afford the consumption of that commodity. So in these conditions, we can say that the demand of the commodities are be increases. So these are the few examples, or these are the few factors of affecting the demand. Now, some another factors, student, who affect the demand of the commodity, that is the change in the demand from government policy. The government policy is also be playing an most vital, most important roles in the demand of the commodities. If the government increase the taxes, the income of the citizens start decreasing, because a huge amount of the taxes imposition by the government decrease the income, decrease the monetary income, decrease the actual income of the consumers for the consumption. As a result, the prices of the goods tends to be higher, tends to be increased, due to which the demand for the goods also we have to decrease. But on the contrary, if instead of increasing the number of the cars, the government gives financial assistance to the citizens in productions or business, then the prices of the goods decreases. As a result, the demand for the goods increases. It means if the government have to decrease the prices of decrease the rate of the taxes, on this condition, the peoples are be able to get the more benefit, able to get the more income indirectly. So the peoples are be demanded then the more amount of the commodities. This is also be the playing an important role for the demand of the commodities. Now, the students, the next factor is that is the change in the demand from the climate. Climate plays an important role, because climate is the source of the commodities. Climate is the source of the commodities, uh, especially for seasonal commodities. Because the climates of the winter season, if the winter season is more intense on the year, then the peoples are be demanded more warm cloth. And in the opposite side, if the chance to no so hot conditions, then the peoples are be demanded the garment, the cloth for sustaining for the current climate, current situation. So we can say the climates of any region also affect the demand for the goods. For example, in the region with a cold climate, the demand for the warm clothes started increasing, whereas in the region with the hot climate, the demand for the goods started decreases uh, for the warm cloth students. If a population is so this is the example of the climate change. Now the population students, if the population of the country increases, then the needs of the peoples of that country will also be increased, because increasing the new numbers of the population, increasing the more number of the population, the demand is also being increased. As a result, the demand for the goods will also increase. Then the producer will produce more of the commodities for the supply state. Now the another one is the future hope. Student, it is can be divided into two types. First, the future prices, and second, the future income. So now we are discussing that in the future, if a person feels that there will be a change in the price or his income, then this will affect the current demands. First, the future prices and increase in the demand for a commodities occurs when a customer has an idea that the prices of the commodities will increase in the future. Also, if the price of the commodities is expected to decrease in the future, then the demand is also be fall. If the prices increase in future, the demand is currently will increase. If the prices will decrease in the future, then the demand is currently we have to decrease. This is the first effect. Second, students, is the future incomes. Future income, it means the an increases in the demand for a commodities occurs when a consumers have an idea that his income will be increased in the future. Also, if it is estimated that the income of the consumer will decrease in the future, then his demand is also be decreased. This is another affecting feature. This is another factors who affect the demand of the commodity. Now, students, the change in the price of relative commodities. As we know that there are two types of the commodities, and it also we have to an influence in the demand of the commodities. The demands for a commodities is also affected by changing in the price of the related goods. In substitute goods like tea and the coffee, if the prices of the tea falls, then the demand for the coffee will decrease because consumers will start using tea more instead of the coffee. Conversely, students, if the prices of the tea increases, the demand for the coffee will increase. So this is the example, perfect example for the competitive commodities. If the prices of the competitive commodities are being increased, then the demand of their competitive commodities, part of competitive commodities is being increased. As example, one more example, students, for the, we can say, Colgate and the Pepsodent. If the prices of the Pepsodent will increase, then the customers have to demand it more amount of the Colgate product. And if the prices of the Colgate will be increased, then the customer have to demand it more amount of the Pepsodent commodities. So this is the some example. Now about the complementary commodities, complementary goods like car and petrols. It means those commodities which are being used combinedly, those commodities which are being consumed not single, but it is used as a good group, like bread and butter. As example, like the petrol and car, like ink and pen. So these are the few examples of the complementary commodities. So here the students, if the increases in the price of the petrol, if the prices of the car will be also be decreased. Another way, and when the prices of the petrol go up, the demand for the car will be increased. So if the prices of the petrol will be decreases, means the people are be able to afford the more expense of the car, more number of the car. So due to decreasing the complementary commodities prices, the another complementary commodities demand is increasing. And if due to increasing the prices of the complementary product, then the demand of the complementary another complementary product is also we have to decrease. So these are the example of this kind of the commodity. Now the these examples can be elaborate more wider than widely that in the substitutive or alternative items. A substitutive items or alternative item is one that can be used in the place of the main item like Coca-Cola and the Pepsi can be used interchangeably. If the demand for alternative goods increases, the demand for the main commodities decreases. From this, we can know that there is an inverse relation between the demands of substitute commodities and the main commodities. For example, if the prices of the tea, as earlier example, we can elaborate. If the prices of the tea decreases in tea and coffee, then the demand of the coffee will be decreased because consumers will start using the tea more instead of the coffee. Conversely, if the prices of the tea is increases, then the demand for the coffee will be increases. So see, this is the example for the substitute commodity. And now the students, the example or elaboration for the complementary commodities. Complementary goods are those which are used with the main objects like butter and bread. If the demand of the bread increase, then with it the demand for the butter to eat will also increase. From this, we can know that there is a direct relation between the demand for the complementary goods and their main commodity. For example, if the prices of the petrol in a car and the petrol increase, the prices of the car will also decrease. And when the prices of the petrol weak or falls, then the demand of the car will be increases. This is the example. Now, students, so there we are discussing about all the factors who affect the demand of the commodities. Now, the examples, the topics where what we are going to discuss, that is the types of the demand. Although we know there are three types of the demand, and now in this topic, we separately we have to discuss. As you see on the diagram, there are the mainly three types of the demand. First is the price demand, second is the income demand, and third is the cross demand. One by one, we can be discuss it difference. First, the price demand. Price means due to changing the price of the commodities, the effect on the demand. So that is the price demand. In economics, demand usually refers to the price demand. Price demand refers to the quantities of and commodities that all other things being equal, a consumer is willing to buy at various hypothetical prices in a given period of the time. All other things being the same, being the constant, that is, there should be no change in the income, interest are be constant, fashions will not be changed, price of the relative commodities is also be constant of the goods or for the consumer. Other things being equal means the quantity demanded by a consumer at a different price level in a given period of the time is called his price demand or price relative demands. Other things being equal means there is no change in the income, interest, behavior of the consumer as earlier we have discussed. If these things change, then these rules will not be work because this is the part of this law. Thus, the demand for a commodities depends on its prices. Price demand can be explained with the help of the following diagram. Now, the diagram you are seeing on your screen, there are three diagrams A, B, C. In more or less in every diagram, students, OX axis shows the quantity demanded of the commodities and OY axis shows the price. Now we can show it. This is the area where the OX axis. In this area, the quantity of the each commodities will be shown, and in this area, the price of the commodities will be shown. So, students, in this point, some law works, some illustration of the demands will be shown. As figures, as details are given in the bottom side of the diagram. That is, OX axis shows the price of the commodity, OX axis and the price items. OY axis shows the price, and OX axis shows the quantity of the commodity. DD rekha in each curve, students, is showing the demand of the commodity. In all diagram, the DD curve shows the demand of the commodity. In the initial stage, student, if the prices is OP, then the demand is OM. And the prices it decreases from the OP to OP1, then the demand is increases from the OM to OM. It means due to decreasing the price of the commodities, the demand is also we have to increase. See here, the prices is decreases and the demand is increases. Sometimes the consumers are not to be afford the commodities. On that situation, the further decreases the prices cannot be increase the demand, but literally we can say, student, in the general conditions, if the prices are decreased, then the demand of the commodities will be increased. Now, in the second diagram, here it is depending on the we can say luxurious commodities, or we can comfort commodities, or we can say the common commodities. In this diagram, students. If the prices is OP, then the demand is OM. If the prices is increased, then this commodities becomes prestigious commodity. Due to increasing the prices of the commodity, the demand is also increasing. Like gold, if the prices of the gold is changed, now it become more prestigious commodity. Like the demand, like the prices of the given commodities. Given commodities, those commodities which are providing the less satisfaction. If the prices of the given commodities increase, then it become superior commodity. It become more prestigious commodity. So in this cases, due to increases the prices of these commodities, the demand is also we have to increase. But if these commodities are behaving like a given commodities, and there are no chance to substitute with other commodities, then it is decreasing the prices. Its demand is also we have to increase, because this is the minor commodities for fulfilling the demands of the consumer, fulfilling the satisfaction of the consumer. So this is the example of this diagram. And now the third diagram is, students, for the independent commodities, for such commodities which are post compulsion, we can say necessity commodities, like salt is the best example or the perfect example for this commodity. Salt is those that commodities which are compulsion for our consumption, which are most essential needs of our consumption, like water. If the prices of the salt is OP, then the demand is same amounts. The prices, if the our requirement is increased without changing the prices, our demand is also we have to increase. If the prices are decreases, in each condition, if our needs have to ON, then we have to demand only ON amount. It means the prices change cannot be have to intense, cannot be have to change the demand of the commodity. Two peoples are there. S is one peoples A, and S1 is second number people. Their income status are be differ. OP price levels, the S consumers have to consume the amount of the commodities ON, and if their demand will be increased, if their wants will be increased without having changing the prices, their demand will be increased. So the price cannot be have to affect it. It is the fashion or it is the choice. It is the demand of the consumer who affect or affect the demand of the commodities, affect the demanding quantity of the commodity. Now the students, the price means the relation of the price with the commodity. Income demands refers to the, it is also called as the income demand. Income demand refers to the difference quantity of the commodities or goods and services that, all other things being equal, the consumer is willing to buy at a given point in time at different level of his income. Students, all other things being equal, there is no change in the consumer's interest, nature, prices of the goods or services, value of the goods concerned, etc. Just as price demand explain the relationship between the price and the quantity. Similarly, income demanded describe the relationship between the income and the quantities. Income demand can also be studied by dividing the goods into a category of the superior and inferior goods. In general, the income demand can be represented in the following way. Some examples are be here. As you see in the OX axis, the quantity of the commodities, वस्तु की मात्रा is be seen. On the OY commodities, उपभोक्ता किया है, the income of the consumers will be seen. Students, in this diagram, if the income of the consumers, now see with the point, if the income of the consumer is OY1, then the demand is OQ. Due to increasing the income from OY1 to OY2, the demand of the commodities is increased OQ to OQ1. It means due to increasing the income of the consumer, the demand of the consumer is also we have to increase. So we can say the positive slopes are be shown here. The slope of the demand curves often, this is for the superior commodity. So if the income of the consumer will be increased, then the demand of the superior commodities is also we have to increase. Now see the content. The above figure shows, as earlier we have to discuss, it is clear from this that there is a direct relationship between the income and the demand. That is, And increasing in the income increases the demand of commodities, and a decreasing in income decreases its demand. The slope of the demand curve obtained is respect of superior goods will be positive, because with the increasing in the per capita income, the demand for these goods increases. Thus, the income of individuals is directly related to the demand for the commodities, in which the demand curve shifted from the left to right. Students, this can be made clear from the pictures as shown on the figures. When the income of the consumer is OY, then the demand lifts into the E point by purchasing the OQ amount of the quantity on the X article or X axis. The consumer's income becomes now OY2, then he buy OY quantity, OQ1 quantity of the X axis from the income, so that he stay at the point of E2. This is going to there in increasing the demand of the commodity. Now the students, for the given commodities, what happened? Given commodities means those commodities which are being adverse, which are less satisfaction providing commodities. So in these cases, if the income of the consumer is increases, then the demand of that commodities will be decreases. As so in the diagram, students, as so in the given diagram, as earlier, OX axis shows the amount of the X commodities, and OY axis shows the income of the commodity. When the consumer's income is a student, OY1, then they are demanded the amount of the commodities OQ1. When the income is OY1, then the demanding of the commodities is OQ1. And now the income of the consumers is being increased. Now it is being OY to OY1. Now the demand of the commodity is being decreased. And now it OQ1 to OQ. It means increasing the demand, decreasing the increasing the income, decreasing the demand. Because the consumers who have an interest, who have not interest about the consumption of that commodity, because they think this is the less satisfactory commodity, this is less satisfying the commodity. So by this diagram, we can elaborate that the nature of the commodities due to increasing the income of the consumers, the consumers we have to decrease the demand of less intensive commodities, or we can say the given commodities. In the figure, income of the consumer is shown that the OX axis and the quantity to be purchased of X items is shown on the OX axis. When the income of the consumers is OY, then he buy OQ amount of the quantities of the articles. On the other hand, when the income increases OY2, quantity of the articles will be purchased at the level of the income. Therefore, the income affected for inferior goods is negative. So this is the example. Now, the students, the cross demands. Cross means the relation of the X commodities to the Y commodity. Now, horizontal demands refer to the difference quantity of a goods or services. Other things being equal, that the purchase by a consumers as a result of change in the price of the goods or service concerned. It is in this to all other things being equal. It means that the income, interest, fashion, price of the particular commodities of the consumers remain constant. Reserve demand for a goods refers to those articles of the goods that the consumers is willing to buy at a given time. If the price of that goods and incomes remain the same, when the prices of that substitute goods change, the counters installations refers to substitution goods of the or complementary goods. The related items can be explained in the following way, in the following diagram. That the diagram is now the relations or supplementary commodities. Goods that can be used interchangeably are called replacement goods. For example, tea or coffee. There is a direct relation between the price of the substitute goods and the quantity demanded. That is, decreases or increases in the price of the one commodity cause or decreases on the increasing in the demand for the other commodity. In the cases of counter substitute goods, when the prices of one commodity increase, so the demand for the other commodities increase. For example, tea is the substitution of the coffee. If the prices of the tea increase further, the demand for the coffee will increase. because coffee has become cheaper than the tea. This is the reason why the demand for the substitute commodities is positive. This can be classified by the following pictures. Now, see the pictures of this diagram. Students, here is the prices of the tea is given, and here the price demanding quantity of the coffee is given. In this figure, the income of the consumer is shown by the OX axis, OY axis, and the quantity of the purchasing of the tea is shown by the OF axis. Now, when the income of the consumer is OI1, it means we can say OPT, then the demand of the coffee is OF. And if the income of the prices of the tea is OPT, then the demand of the coffee will be increased. So this is the example of the substitutive commodities. It is complementary commodities, with competitive commodities. See here, the student, when the prices of the commodity of the tea is increases, then the demand of the coffee is increases. Contrary, we can say when the prices, if it is shown in by this point, if the prices of the tea is decreases, then the demand of the coffee is decreases. Because in this situation, the consumers are substitute to consume the tea and decrease the amount of the demanding quantity of the coffee. So by it, it is be clear, we say that the demanding quantity of the commodities, if they have a substitutive relation, then it affect the adversely to the demanding quantity. Now, the complementary commodities, things can be used interchangeably as well as the complementary or called complementary goods, such as a pen and ink, car and petrol, etc. It is to be noted that there is an inverse relation between the price of the complementary goods and the quantity demanded. That is, a decrease or increase in the price of one commodity cause an increase or decrease in the demand for another commodity. For example, an increases in the price of a car will resulted in a decreases in the demand for the petrols as well as a fall in the demand for the car. Students, in the relations of the complementary goods, the opposite situation is founded in the relation to the substitutive commodities. If the prices of one complementary goods rises, then the demand for the other commodities decreases substantially. For example, an increases in the price of a cricket ball leads to a fall in the demand for a cricket bats, because without a ball, the bats does not work. This is the made clear by the following diagram. Now see the diagram. Is the price of Y commodities and is the amount demanded in the X commodity. So in this diagram, we can say the prices of the ball is increases, then the demand of the bat is be decreases. Here is the ball's price, and here is the demand for the bat. If the prices of the balls is increases, students, on this situation, the demand of the bat is be decreases. So this is the example. This is the perfect diagram for this. So now, students, by seeing it, we can say that the demands for demand types can be elaborated exactly what it. So after this lecture, students, we are focusing on the law of demand. So I hope it will be providing your syllabus material. It will be providing enough material for your study. And what your opinion about this lecture? What the opinion about this content? You must have to inform me by commenting on the bottom of this lecture. After seeing this lecture, thanks for a lot for this patience and beliefs on this channel, students. If you are getting the information, you are satisfying with this lecture, you must have to subscribe it and to suggest your other friends for the subscription. Thank you.